Following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Cowboys StoryLine with Nick Eatman.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to Cowboys StoryLine, another edition here on Thursday, April the 4th. And we are here to talk draft. Talk free agency, talk about trades, maybe not trades the Cowboys have made, but I'm sure we can talk about some trades other teams have made that might affect the Cowboys at some point in the season. I'm sure you'll want to talk about all of that and more. Cowboys, I guess they did a little bit since the last time we did a show. They re-signed Chuma Edoga. Or I guess he's agreed to terms. I'm not sure he's actually signed yet, but he has agreed to terms. Will be joining the team again, and that gives him a little depth at left tackle, left guard. Anytime you can get the versatile players like that, and it's a one-year deal, it's on the cheap, and just provides a little bit of experience and depth at that position. I would imagine the Cowboys are going to draft a tackle at some point, first round, maybe second round, somebody to play left tackle. Is he ready? That's the key there. You hope that he would be, because that's why you're probably going to draft him over some other people. Is just how available and ready they are to play. But if not, you do have some experience there, and a guy like him or Willetsko or Josh Ball or Awesome Richards or somebody there that just gives you a little bit more options if the guy that you draft isn't actually ready to go. All right, speaking of ready to go, 888-855-2297, the number to call. You can text at 817-290-3298. We'll take some texts. We'll take some calls. We'll start us off with Anthony in Miami. Anthony.
My guy, Nick the Quick. My guy, what's up?
How you doing, man?
Bro, I'm chilling, riding around town. I caught you and Chris. Worked all week. I'm tired. I got one day off, and I'm going to enjoy it with my old lady in our new place that don't have good reception.
All right.
So that's how that's going to go. Okay, kind of on the draft. We ended that thing last week when I hit you up. I ended that thing right. I tried to. So what I want to do now is to kind of go what we said as far as people needing to step up in positions because, we don't really have the money and things we got to do. So in the draft, correct me if I'm wrong, we have a 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 7. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's right, yeah.
Man, I need a 4. I don't care how you get it. You want to trade back a few spots? I think you still can get your tackle, running back, D-tackle, and linebacker. If you trade back a few spots, I need that 4. Package up something, get me another one. Get me a 3 or 4. Okay, we got to go in the next year. And maybe that's what Jerry meant by all in. Maybe it's not really the money. Maybe it's the capital sometimes. Who knows? But let's do that. But I know you just need one lineman. If I hear anybody saying possible receiver, if somebody failed or what, are you crazy? If we can't do what we need to do, if Dak and Coach McCarthy can't use All-Pro, CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Tolbert, Brooks, Turpin, and Ferguson, you might as well call them receiver, something's wrong. So we don't go crazy. Get what you need, because you got to pay people, and then fill these holes and let's go. Let's play some ball, man. Be perfect. Friday Night Lights. I got one player for you, Nick, and I want to know how this guy's doing and if he got a story. And we could damn sure use him right now. He's a running back. 2010-ish, 11-ish, 25, Lance Dunbar.
All right.
I will holler at you next time, buddy.
All right.
Let me go around here and take care of some business.
Okay. All right. Not sure what that means, but anyways, good stuff from Anthony. Now, you got to remember, too, he goes, get what you need. Get what you need. Well, get what you need for when. See, that's what's different about this draft maybe and some other drafts. I mean, Mike McCarthy, we all kind of know the deal. If there's not success this year, I mean, what kind of long-term future is there with him? So he's not looking to trade back a whole lot. He's definitely not looking to trade into next year's draft. He's got to, this is his free agency, is the draft. He's got to get these guys. He's got to get the best talent that he can. for now. So that's what Anthony's saying. But you got to remember, sometimes the people that are drafted are thinking more big picture. So wide receiver, it doesn't seem like a top priority, but for whatever the reason, CeeDee Lamb was there in 2020, and he became a priority really quick, even though defensive line and corner was a bigger need, but they couldn't pass up on talent there. So that's where sometimes you get a little difference of agendas. Whose agenda are we drafting for here? Are we drafting for right now, or are we drafting for the best player available? And that's the, that debate goes on, and it's gone on for years. Best available need versus best available player. And this team has a few needs, and they have needs for down the road. I mean, yeah, CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks sounds really good. Brandon Cooks on his last year of his deal. He's done after this. I would imagine he's not back on the team in 2025. And then you have Tolbert, who still hasn't developed into a quality player just yet. So you might need something there at wide receiver for down the line. So I don't think you just overlook it because it doesn't fit necessarily into the depth chart right now. All right. Lance Dunbar, he was, a good player, local guy, North Texas. And, those type of players, especially, it was like, where Romo was kind of towards the end of Romo's time there, where he was kind of figuring out, man, that you can have a special player here if you can get a guy out of the backfield. I think of that game they beat the Giants in week 1 where Romo, he rallies them back. I mean, I think Dunbar caught 10 passes in that game, not for a lot of yards, but I mean, 10 passes. I mean, that's a first down usually, just, dump it off to your guy. So he didn't have a long career. He wasn't a big dude or anything like that. So, but he definitely had a purpose. And I think if he could have stayed healthy, which is the case for a lot of running backs, he could have played a lot longer. All right, let's go to Paul in Vancouver.
Hey, what's up, Nick? How are you, man?
Hey, Paul. What's up?
Doing well. Hope you're doing well.
Good.
I just had a couple of questions before I get to that. I've been lucky to get through a couple of times. So I just wanted to thank you and Chris for all the hard work you guys put in. And you guys are the best. Congratulations on the community you built here. And I respect you guys a lot because you guys cover these games and catch red-eye flights and do podcasts next day. And it's really impressive. So thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you. I appreciate the acknowledgement of that because there's times when you're working on a 2 or 3 hours sleep at best. And but you know what? Especially on the fun games, there was a couple last year where it was like, man, it's going to be a quick morning, but I can't wait to get in here. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. So as long as that doesn't ever change, then it's not really work. You know what I mean? If you're not really having to work, then I think you're doing it right. So that's what it feels like for me. All right, Paul, what do you got?
Yeah, I enjoyed the show Tuesday, like when you guys talked about running backs. So, I'm trying to understand how we got to this position now because I can't really think of the last time. Maybe 2003 is when this situation is what it was at running back. So, can you kind of touch on what the logic was of franchising Tony Pollard last year? Because, they obviously, we have a lot of smart people in the front office. They obviously, saw what the cap constraints this offseason. So were they just trying to buy a year, or did they project that this draft would be very strong? What was the logic on that? Yeah. And I'm really expecting Dowdle to be that short yardage back. I don't think it was his fault last year because the blocking wasn't there. So I think that's a reasonable expectation. And the other question I had is, I really enjoy your perspectives. I come from Canada once a year to a game, and I really enjoyed watching Michael Gallup play, and I was there for a lot of his big plays. So he's probably my favorite live player to watch. So I'm kind of curious who yours is. And, keep up the good work, and congrats on everything. And I hope we get it done for you this year.
Thank you. Favorite live player to watch? Is that the question?
Yeah. Who do you like watching live?
Okay. All right. Appreciate the call. This is going to sound really bad. I'm not trying to figure out a way to say this, but I mean, I'm proud of the fact I haven't missed a game in 24 years. So I've seen them. All of them have been live. I mean, I know that's not going to come out right, but I'm trying to say, when you first said that, I kind of thought more of a basketball type thing. You know what I mean? You just watch somebody kind of up close. I'll have to think about that a little bit. That's a unique question to me. And it wasn't trying to come across as I go to all the games, but I mean, we were very fortunate to do that. Let me think about that one. That's good. Going back to Pollard, the Pollard part, I think you said it best. You said, are they trying to buy a year? Because what they had seen from him was that a dynamic player paired with another running back that's doing a lot more of the dirty work. And so the franchise tag is relatively cheap. I mean, I hate to say that $10 million is cheap, but for your starting running back to just get him on the franchise deal 1 year, and let's see what he can do as a starter. And I think what we saw was that he was okay as a starter. Probably needs a little bit more help around him to be, as flashy and dynamic and all that stuff. So, let's see what happens. If he just blows up, then you're like, all right, you've got him and you can re-sign him to a big deal. And if it's just kind of pretty good like it was, then, we'll see what happens the next year and see what the market looks like. And that's what happened. He signed with someone else. And so that's kind of how they got here. It was just that, and they were trying to draft running backs. They were, last year, they were looking at running backs. I bet they're kind of kicking themselves a little bit for not getting, I can't think of his name now. A-Chain from Miami. The A&M running back. They liked him. They liked another running back from Texas too. Not Bijan Robinson, but the other guy, Roshan Johnson maybe. So they had their eyes on running backs. It just didn't really work out, for them. And then they got deuced, and that didn't really work out as far as a help for running backs. So this is kind of where they are this year, and I still think they're going to add a veteran. I really do. I know this last show we talked a lot about Zeke potentially coming back, and I think that's a possibility. But I wouldn't be surprised if they add another running back for sure. All right, my screen's frozen. Is Rob in Vegas? Is that next, Rob?
No, Rob dropped.
Oh, Rob, seriously?
It's Joe in Stanford.
Okay. Well, from one captain to the other, we'll go to Joe in Stanford. What's up, Joe?
Hey, what's up? How are you, sir?
Good. I was getting worried about you, man. I hadn't heard from you in a little bit.
Well, I got some news. I'm on day shift now, man.
Uh-oh.
So it's sad to say I'm probably not going to be a regular anymore.
We're going to figure something out, Joe. We'll figure something out. You know, we're going back to 10 o'clock in the morning, when the season starts, I think. So we'll figure it out. But
that's gonna kill. I'm going to work 7 to 3 now. Okay. I'll probably do a lot more texting, so you might be able to get me in that way.
Well, you're going to fit perfectly into the new feature we're talking about. We're going to have you guys do some videos, quick 15, 20-second question, get you on the air. Get your face on there, see a little quick video, and then I'll be able to answer. That's something that we're really going to be working on this off season. So you'll fit perfectly for that. So you're gonna stay alive for sure when it comes to being a regular. All right.
Yeah, I'm stoked, man. Good. That makes me happy because it's going to be rough for me to get on live. I really have enjoyed the show over this last year, man, and it sucks. I mean, this is a highlight of my week. A lot of times in my day during the season.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Just overall, looking at everything that's been happening, I feel like I have crossed a bridge as far as what's going on. I was really pissed for a few weeks. I think, we've talked about this a little bit, but the false expectations that were set, I don't even know if it was on purpose what Jerry did at the end of the season with the all-in stuff, really screwed up everybody's heads. And I think I've sort of washed that out. I mean, it's obvious that it wasn't meant the way it was said. So as I have done that and really looked at our situation in a long view, what they're doing is smart. It makes sense. We've got to try to sign our talent and get talent the draft way. I know it gets old with some people, but I don't feel like, even though we've lost some guys that I know made us better overall, I don't feel like the core of this team is that much different. I think we're still in good shape. I think we definitely have to draft better this year.
Sure.
And I think if we do that, I don't see why we can't win 12 games again for the fourth year in a row. So
Yeah. Well, I mean,
that's the way I'm seeing it.
All right. Well, Joe, I like the optimism, and I did a starting lineup projection the other day on the website a week ago, and here's what a starting lineup would look like right now, and I got a lot of feedback on that of that's not so bad, and so that's kind of what my thought was too. You just look at the defense and go, all right, who's going to be on defense, and what's the offense look like, and yeah, I mean it's easy to look at the guys you lost, but you're right. I mean, you've gained. You haven't gained a lot, but this is a good roster, and now they're just going to have to count on these young players. I mean, the young guys have to step up. They need we're going to do another series starting today, I believe, called Next Man Up, and it's focus on about 20, 25 guys. We'll do one each day, and that really need, like, this is their time. Most of them are on their rookie contract still, and they haven't had an opportunity to really get into this role, and it's going to happen for them. So, at Jalen Tolbert is like the first example there. So they need 5 of those guys to really step up. 20 of them are going to get to play more, but I'm talking like do a Ferguson step up, do a Deron Bland type thing. That's what they really need to make this where this is their free agency and this is their draft. Is those pool of players have got to take it to the next level. And so, or it's just, they're going to have depth issues all season long. They've got to, develop playmakers, and they're here. I mean, they're on the roster. They just gotta develop. That's it. All right, let's go. I got a question here first. A text question from Dan in Philly. He's an all StoryLine team member from the text line. Because he does it so often. He has good stuff. So his question today is, do you think the Cowboys will use a different draft strategy this year compared to past years because the coaches are on a one-year deal? Players tend to be drafted for certain schemes and coaching preferences. Many of these coaches may not be back next year depending on the season's outcome. Doesn't this make Will McClay's job this draft even more difficult? Yeah, I mean, he'll say no. He'll say no, it's not going to change. He said, we're going to draft good football players, and we're drafting them for the scheme. If you draft a good football player, they'll be good in any scheme. I mean, they probably would be. So, no, I think where they draft, it has to, they have to have an overall grade for that. Now, it certainly helps to know, hey, he'll fit. This is what our coordinator likes and this and that. But, I think for the most part, you're going to draft a player that would fit in last year's scheme, this year's scheme, and the one maybe in 5 years or whatever. So I bet you he would say no change in the strategy, and it really doesn't make his job even more difficult here or not. His past Cowboy was Preston Pearson. Another one of those guys, a running back, a receiver out of the backfield. I know this when I looked up how many players have ever caught 3 touchdowns in a playoff game, because Ferguson just did it, unless you tuned out and you don't know that in the Green Bay game he actually caught 3 touchdowns in that game. Obviously no one cares, but I just was curious, does it ever happen? And it did. It was Preston Pearson. He caught 3 in a game as a running back / receiver. So that's what, versatility is what I remember out of Preston Pearson. A little bit before my time, but I do remember him. All right, let's go to the next caller, Brett in Richmond, Virginia.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Brett, what's up?
Not much. First time caller.
Yeah, I thought so. There you go.
Gonna run through it. My favorite wrestler, Bret Hart. Favorite Cowboy growing up was Irvin. Random Cowboy, Jeremy Mency.
Nice.
And a question for you.
Wait, a question for you.
Yeah.
Is Bret Hart your favorite player because your name's Brett?
Oh, yeah, of course. When I'm...
Favorite baseball player?
Not George Brett.
Okay, I thought maybe so. All right.
Yeah, so that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
A question for you. I've been thinking about this for a while, actually. Wanted to get your opinion on it. So, obviously, the league would like to have more games. for generate more revenue for the league. What if they said that we have 20 games, but each player could only play 17, and that would allow the players to not have to have so many games for injury. It would allow the league to have more games, and I think it would allow a lot of interesting ways to strategize on where we're going to play. We're going to play Dak this game, or we're going to wait and play him against the at the end of the year, kind of not play him then.
Ooh,
so I was trying to get your idea on what that would be like.
I've never heard of that before, but that's different. But that, I see some positive things that could come out of that, because you also have to develop a quarterback. That's how you develop a quarterback right there, is you put him in a situation like that. Has to play, because you can't play your guy every week,
Right.
I would see, what the league, this is the first thing I thought of. The league would love that idea until Thursday night football comes around and all these guys are beat up from the week before, and they're like, you know what, we're resting them. So now your Thursday game, and everyone's all excited because Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills take on Joe Burrow and the Bengals on Thursday Night Football. Like, no, actually, no. Neither one of them are going to play in this game. Good luck, though. Good luck with that, being on CBS or whatever. The league would hate that. So, I don't know. But it's an interesting concept. It really is. Yeah, anything else?
I think it would make things a lot interesting. My thoughts on the draft is we need to get a center and put Tyler at left tackle and Bass at guard, and get a running back and a big fat DT to clog up the middle.
Okay. All right. Well, that's some 3 priorities right there, for sure. I kind of think, I still think Tyler Smith will be a better guard. So I'm more of a draft a tackle type, because I just don't think you're going to draft a guard high. So I think you have a better chance to have more talent if you keep Tyler Smith at guard and then draft a talented first-round left tackle. See, that's what I think. And then now you're having more first-rounders there. That's sort of the way I see it, but who knows? All right. Thanks for the call, Brett, for the first time. Appreciate that. And got a few more questions here for text questions, so I'm going to read these. We got Brian from North Carolina. He says, "Hey, Nick, longtime fan here, back from the Cowboys Weekly days." Yep, wrote a little bit for that magazine. Anyways, we're looking at the big picture correctly. How many teams can play 3 players top or close to the top dollar per position and compete? I think we should prioritize the deal and deal one of the 3. I guess you're talking about Micah, CD, and Dak. Obtain some picks, create flexible cap, and continue to build via strength of the draft. Thoughts? You just going to make me pick one of the 3? Or you didn't want to throw it out there? Or you want to talk about the one that everyone seems to think should be the one to trade? That sounds good. That's probably in the category of the last caller on playing 20 games and three games you have to sit out. Like, interesting, just probably not going to happen. I just don't think that's going to happen. I don't think they're going to trade. The only one that the fans have ever talked about trading is Micah, and I just don't think that it's going to happen. I think you do all this stuff and get in the draft and try to evaluate these guys and get a steal of the draft, and you picked a guy 12th overall that's arguably the best at his position. He has been since he got in the door in Micah Parsons, and so now you want to trade him. I don't know about that. Just be careful with saying that. I mean, I get some of the annoying things he'll do on social media and say and all that, and we've talked about maturity issues with him. But I know this, man. When Seattle's looking to drive and tie the game, and in the middle of the field on 4th down, and Geno Smith can't even get back in his stance, and Micah Parsons is right there, and the game was over. Like, he just threw it away, and the game's over. Like, that's a difference maker. I know there was a stat out there that he got most of his sacks when it didn't matter and all that. It's not about sacks, though. That position is not about sacks all the time. I've said this numerous times. I'll say it again. There's a phrase out there about close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades and pass rush. It counts. If you got close to a sack, okay, it wasn't a sack. It's a pressure, and the guy's still looking at his ear hole because you knocked him down and the game is over. That counts for something. So Micah Parsons' pressure, leading the league in pressures, is a thing, and that matters too. So I'm not looking to trade a difference maker like that. I need to tweak a few things here. Let's, get in his ear somebody that he, fully respects, maybe talk about the importance of leadership, talk about teammates, all that kind of stuff. I think he can get there. I'm not looking to trade that. And then you're going to pay for him? Yeah. If they take up a bulk of your cap, okay, because they're difference makers. So you got to build around difference makers. I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. All right. Chris, I have no idea who's on the line. We have one? Do we know?
Yes, Jonathan. Yeah, Jonathan in Fulton, California.
Got it. Jonathan in Fulton, California. What's up?
Hey, Nick. How's it going?
How are you?
Good. First time caller. Been listening for.
Go.
Here I go.
Now it's official.
I'm just happy to be on. This is my second real attempt at trying to get on. So for all you listeners out there who think you can't get on, it's totally doable. Just keep trying.
Makes it sound like you just made it to the NFL. Like you can do it out there. Okay, if you just believe in yourself, you can get through.
Exactly. I feel like I have a few things I want to say, so I'll try and just say what I can and let the other listeners in. Someone called in earlier talking about going to a bunch of live games, and I myself am cursed. I've been to 9 Dallas Cowboy games. We lost every single time.
What?
I feel like I choose the bad games to go to. Like, I was there for the Chaz Green and Atlanta game. I was there in Buffalo last December.
I should have told you that one. That one's not going to... Don't go to Buffalo.
I want to visit every single NFL stadium for a different Cowboys game. And I thought for sure we would have had it in Washington when I went a few years ago. That was the Alex Smith hurt his leg game. And still managed to miss on that one. So I'm hoping for, if you have any tips on encouragement of breaking this 9-game curse, I'd love to hear that.
Yeah.
Also,
I got one for you. Go to Carolina.
Carolina. All right. That's been on my list. What's it called? But then again, like I said, I thought we had it against the Commanders. And, look how that turned out.
Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to mention, I feel like the whole organization is going to keep hearing media and fans and haters talk about the Jerry's all-in comment.
Yep.
And I know everyone in the podcast have been defending him and trying to clarify what he meant, but I feel like the easier solution with Jerry himself if he just said, I shouldn't have said that, then that would totally shut all, it would stop being a thing if he just said, I shouldn't have said that, instead of us trying to redefine the definition of the term that we all kind of use in the same way. And, because, I've only been a fan for, I started watching in, 2008, 2009, that time, so in the Tony Romo era. And I haven't seen fans. I've seen fans upset, but this is the most upset I've seen them. And I've been going to Oxnard, California, for training camp for over a decade every year. And now I want to go, but this is the least excited I want to go just because of everything that's going on. I'm curious how they're going to spin this upcoming season to give the fans hope and trying, to come in games and buy merch and stuff. And I'll leave on that with a last-minute question. Have you ever been to Oxnard and tried the superior In-N-Out burger to What's That Burger? All right, thanks. I'll let you go.
All right. I don't think I even heard. I don't even know the last thing he said. What was he saying?
He was saying about the most superior In-N-Out burger to, I think he meant Whataburger.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's not even close. That's not even a thing. I mean, if anyone is suggesting that In-N-Out Burger is better than Whataburger, man, we need a concussion protocol for you on that one. I'm sorry. Now I'll say this: you can maybe develop a bad habit out there in California if you go to certain places that are pretty good there too. That would be close. But nah, I'm sorry, and it has nothing to do with Whataburger being a sponsor, because there's other sponsors I'm probably not going to sit here and endorse. But Whataburger, number one on that one, if that's where we're going. Sorry, In-N-Out. No, thank you. I'll choose out on that. If there's a choice, I'll choose out. You said something about spinning how the Cowboys are going to spin this for hope. Like, it's what we just talked about in the previous call. Is this team lost some key players, okay, and they're going to have to figure this out. And we'll see what happens. But I don't think it's completely gutted. I mean, that it's top heavy. It's got a quarterback coming back that had a great season. Close to an MVP. You've got 10 Pro Bowlers, and of those 10, I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think how many of them are coming back. I don't think you lost anybody that made the Pro Bowl. Tyron Smith did not, so maybe I'm missing someone there. But my point is that they still got some talent here. You got a lot of talent, and you tweak some things. You changed your defensive coordinator. That might help. That you got a really good defensive coordinator in here as well. Dan Quinn was good, but it kind of there towards the end it kind of flaked out a little bit in the playoff game for sure. So I think we'll see if a change is good in that department and all that. But I don't think this is a spin thing. I mean, I think that the thing that you worry about is depth, because you did lose some core players for depth, and are you going to be able to replace them with the younger guys and the draft? And so if you get a lot of injuries, you might be in trouble there. But I think, if you can somewhat steer clear of some major injuries, you still have a lot of really good players on the team. All right, let's go to Rob in Vegas.
Hey, Nick.
Hey, Rob. What's up?
I think Jerry's strategy of these, I'm going to play it out, one-year deal for the coaches and for Dak, I don't think that works today. I think that worked maybe 20 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. But I just think the money is too great. That may motivate the fringe guy, the special teams guy that's barely hanging on, or a Chuma Udoga. But Dak's going to get paid. Dak's already a multi-millionaire. And if Dallas doesn't pay him, somebody else is at 55 and up. So I just don't understand what he's doing with that. Even the coaching staff. What coaches wanted to come here, who would uproot their family, let's say, for 1 year? The only guys you were going to get is like a Zimmer, who I like. I think Zimmer is a great candidate for the DC, and I'm excited for him. But let's face it, he was retired. He's an older guy. What else was he going to be doing? This is fun. This is exciting for him. But I don't think you were going to get any young coaches for a one-year deal. I think I don't know if this motivates Mike McCarthy any more than what he would do. I think Mike McCarthy is a very good coach, but I don't think he's going to say, "Oh my God, I got to sleep here now." I just don't understand the one year deal things. And listen. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, the 1 year deals. I mean, this is. Are you talking about with the coaches?
Well, with everybody, like with Dak, we know what Dak is going to do. Dak's a very good quarterback. Dak is never. Let's be honest. He's never sucked. He's always been very good. So we're going to pencil him in for 30-something touchdowns, 8 to 10 interceptions. He'll beat the teams he's supposed to beat. He will struggle against the higher, the better teams. And hopefully, that's where he needs to get better. And obviously, the playoffs, he definitely needs to get better. But we know what he's going to do. So if you're saying, Dak, I'm going to ride it out, and you basically have to go to the NFC Championship to keep your job here with the Cowboys, well, then you got to look for a new quarterback in the draft because the odds are it's against it.
Right.
Let's be honest. So what happens if Michael Penix is there at 24?
Mm-hmm.
Or the guy from Oregon that I like, Bo, I forget his name.
Nix.
Bo Nix. Yeah. What do you do then if this is your mindset that most likely we're not going to pay him because, obviously the number is astronomical and they're not comfortable with it. And he would have to do something that hasn't been done in 30 years. So I'm just saying the odds are against it.
Right.
What do you do at 24 if those guys are there? Because we know that won't help us this year. We need an offensive line. We know what we need. But what do you do? I mean, it just puts us in a bad spot. It puts Mike McCarthy in a bad spot because he says to himself, am I building the Cowboys for this season or am I building them when I'm not here? So I think Jerry just screwed this whole thing up. I think me and a lot of fans are just confused. We were really damn good last year. That's why we're so mad, because we saw how good we were, especially at home. Right. With the crash and burn, it's like, okay, we were mad, we're ready to, set the jerseys on fire. But like you say, when you gather yourself and you realize, okay, you know what? We're there. We're a lot closer to winning it than not winning it. But it's like now Jerry's blowing it up, and I don't know. I think that's what got us mostly confused, and that's why I don't know. I just think it's a bad strategy. I don't think it works. There's too much money involved now. These guys are multimillionaires after 1 or 2 years, so the pressure you're going to put on them isn't the same like it was 20 years ago.
All right. Good stuff, Rob. I'll address that here. But thanks for the call as always. He got through. He dropped earlier, but he came back. He got through. You talked about being confused about, what is this? What is this blowing up the team? Is it the last dance because there's all these 1-year deals? And I'll say this, it's confusing because the guys you're talking about confuse us, Dak is tough to evaluate, because he's had his moments where he is really good. And it's like you said, it's been more often than not, and he hasn't ever been bad. He's thrown some bad interceptions, had some bad games and things like that. But I mean, overall he's been really good, and then at times he's been outstanding, and you just think, he could be the guy, and he's your guy right now. So you want to keep him and keep this thing going. Same with the head coach. Has the head coach been good? Yeah, he's changed the culture here, changed what it was. Got a lot more competitive. The COVID year was bad. I mean, that was tough on everyone. He kind of had to. It was a really tough year to be a first-time coach, and a first-year program, with a new coach during the COVID and all that. But last 3 years he's been really good. He's got his team exactly where he needs to be in the playoffs, and then from there it obviously hasn't worked. But that's the problem. Like when you evaluate Dak, you evaluate McCarthy, you evaluate some of these other guys, other than even Micah Parsons, you evaluate him. There's a but to almost everything, and that's what makes this thing tough. There's some people that want to throw the money at these guys or extra years on a contract, and then others that are like, no, they're just not easy to evaluate because it's been a little up and down. It hasn't been absolutely perfect. Not every player is Zach Martin for the last 9 years where you're like, yep. Even he had a holdout last year. They had to figure that out a little bit. But, Tyron Smith up until last year where you're just like, yep, he's great. He's solid. Don't worry about him. You don't have a lot of those. You got guys with a little bit of, I like him, but maybe this and that. And that's what makes it tough. And then this year in particular, it's where it's all kind of seems like they're just right up against the fence. All right, let's go to Jeff in North Carolina. Jeff, what is up?
What's going on, Nick?
How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm sitting here in the car. I got my mom with me. I took her to the doctor, and we was on our way back. I said, well, I'm going to call my buddy Nick. Say, hey, Mom.
Hey, Mom. Oh, hi.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Good to have you on the show. This is Jeff's one. He always makes me smile every time. I just love the demeanor. I love the accent. I love it all. So, yeah, I love
Guess what? I do too.
I would hope so. I would hope so too, especially when he's taking you. Take her shopping too, Jeff. I mean, don't just take her. Right?
Yeah.
Buy her something good.
I like that.
All right.
That's right. I need to. So, I ain't really got nothing today. I just got one trivia thing. My birthday's coming up Sunday, on the 7th, and so I was going to ask you: do you know a famous cowboy who has the birthday on April 7th? You should know this.
I should not know this because I don't get invited to their birthday parties.
He's your favorite player.
He's what?
He's your favorite player of all time.
Hold on. Just a second. Now, this is not good radio, but I'm going to look something up real quick. I have an app here that the app would ever pull up. Yeah. Well, my favorite player is Darren Woodson.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought your second. I thought it was your.
Whose birthday's April 7th? Jeff. Who is it?
Your favorite player growing up?
Oh, Tony Dorsett.
Tony D. Tony Dorsett.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Me and him share the same birthday. Now he's a little older than me, but we were both born on the 7th of April.
Who was faster?
So, I would say he probably was.
I like how you.
I might could beat him if I was wearing cowboy boots. I might be faster in cowboy boots than he would be in cowboy boots when I was a kid.
I bet. That's cool. I didn't know Tony D was his birthday. Now, I looked it up because I knew Darren Woodson's was coming out. His is later in April. But that's awesome. Well, I didn't know that. Good trivia question. I don't get invited to the birthday parties. I mean, some people in our departments do, but I don't. But I don't get to go hang out with the players on their birthdays.
So we're going to Olive Garden.
Going to Olive Garden?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you got to get that tour of Italy. You got to get that, and then you got to get the breadsticks too. So great.
Yep. Yeah.
All right.
Just be there Sunday in Statesville, North Carolina. We'll be looking for you.
All right. Well, Jeff, make sure they come and sing happy birthday to you. Go over there, get everyone around. You have to stand up on the table, that kind of stuff. All right.
All right, man. Have a good weekend.
See you later. Bye, Jeff and Jeff's mother in North Carolina. That's awesome. All right. Speaking of moms, my mom is from Texarkana, and the next caller is also from Texarkana, Randy in Texarkana. Now, is this Texarkana, Texas, or Arkansas?
Well, born on Texas, but live in Arkansas. You know how that is. Got state line right down the middle.
Right down the middle. I tell you, if you've never been to Texarkana, Texas, Arkansas, I mean, there's a street, and it's called State Line Avenue or State Line Drive.
That's the one.
And and when Texas plays Arkansas, which is going to happen a lot now in the conference in football, you be driving right down the street. You'll have the Texas restaurants on this side, Arkansas restaurants on this side. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
All right. Sounds good.
Good deal.
What do you got, Randy?
Well, first of all, Chris, cue it up.
There
you go. There you go.
Warm it up, Chris.
There you go. I don't really have a question for you today. Just kind of wanted to give you something to change things up just a little bit on your show. I deal with the public. I'm a FedEx driver, so I'm always having to deal with the public, and you always have the same thing over and over. Hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm fine. How are you? I'm fine. Nobody's ever just fine. So to liven it up, people should say how they really are when they call you.
No, disagree, Randy. I'm sorry. I'm going to disagree. In fact, I've been actually coached against even saying how you doing. I was told not to say that. Don't say how you doing because everyone's doing fine and all that, like you said. But you're like, no, Randy, tell me what's going on. And then what happens is like, well, my knee's flaring up a little bit here, and I got this in my toe, and I'm sure waiting on my taxi to come through, and I'm trying to change jobs here, and you're like,
exactly.
Oh,
yeah.
So
well,
I don't know if I like that.
they have to keep it to a few short words because that's what I do. I'll just say, hey, how you doing? Hey, I'm fat and ugly. That's how I'm doing, and I'll move on with it. And then I got a little suggestion just for the off season to keep it fun. And, you know, you got your wrestlers and you got your man movie and all that good stuff going on right now. So how about let's do a crazy, not so crazy Thursday prediction and just let people call in and say some stuff. But it has to not be just completely crazy. It has to make a little sense. You know what I mean? But
Start us off, Randy.
I've got one, and I actually thought about this about a month ago, and I thought to myself, that's a little crazy. But then sometime last week, I heard Keyshawn Johnson on his show bring it up, and I was like, well, maybe it's not so crazy. But I think that possibly Jerry is going to let Dak play out his year without re-signing him so that they can clear the books, and they may be okay with the season not doing so great, and here's the prediction why, is that gives them a reason to get a higher draft pick or have a way of moving up in the draft next year, and also clean house with quarterback and coach and bring in your truly Deion Sanders and baby Deion to be the quarterback. Now, I understand that he's all about winning and he wants to get to the Super Bowl, but that's what I'm saying. This is a crazy, not so crazy prediction. But if the Joneses are also about the bottom line, and can you imagine the TV time and the money that would come from having Deion Sanders as a head coach and his son as a quarterback? It would be nuts. Whether you win or lose, it would be nuts.
Wow.
That's about all I got for you, sir.
All right. Well, that's...
Hey, I tell you what, I wouldn't mind hearing Rob from Vegas, the captain, come in on that, and also Ray from Fort Worth, because that guy's crazy.
Oh, Ray.
Gets so intense with what he's talking about. Sometimes it almost seems like he's going to cry.
Yeah. No, he has been, and he's been calling for years. I really enjoy the fact that he's started calling this show.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've been listening to it. I'm 50. I was born a Cowboy fan. That's where my name came from, was Randy. My dad's favorite player was Randy White.
Yeah.
So there's your player for the day.
What about your favorite wrestler? Let's keep it going here.
Honestly, I hope it doesn't upset you, but I was never really a wrestler person.
I
really wasn't.
Giving you the chance to say Randy Macho Man Savage. That's all good.
Right.
All right.
Well, I figured you were teeing me up for that, but I didn't want to lie because I'm sure somebody will hear this and go, he's full of it.
Well, Randy, this has been a great call. I love it. Call back, man.
Absolutely.
Call back.
Hey, I'll try. It's hard for me, too, because I'm out in the roads running, but I do not miss a show. And I tell you what, I love it when you're on Hanging with the Boys.
Yeah.
And Chris, I think Chris is kind of a official part of that show. I really think he's the fifth member of that show. Yeah. I know he works with all of them, but it feels like he's part of that show.
Yeah. Well, he's
and you know, Cowboy Break, because Boss Man's on there, and I don't want to upset Boss Man.
Yeah, of course not. Yeah.
Hey, and I'm doing fine.
Now you're okay. Well, good. Glad to hear that. All right, Randy, that's a good call right there. I tell you what, I go to Texarkana, quite often. I would think, or maybe not as often as I should, but I've been there a lot my whole life. I don't see a lot of people like Randy running around there. They're talking like that. I wish if I ran into more people like him, it would be a lot more enjoyable. Nice city, nothing wrong with it. Again, my whole life. My dad went to Texas high school on the Texas side. My mom went to the Arkansas high school on the Arkansas side, and they met at church together. So I wouldn't be here without Texarkana. But good stuff. Great call there by Randy. All right, let's go to Erwin in Denver. Erwin.
Hey, Nick, what's going on?
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
No, really, how you doing? Like, really, how you doing? That's what the last caller said. Like, what's going on with you?
Oh, just kind of relaxed a little bit today. It's really nice up here, like in the mid-70s. Just kind of taking it easy and enjoying the weather today.
All right.
So,
well, that proves my point there from Randy, the last caller, wanted me to dig in and ask questions, and it led to weather. We don't talk weather on here, so I don't like that idea anymore, Randy. We're not doing that. All right, let's go, Erwin. What do you got? Let's talk football.
let's talk football. So, Nick, I just wanted to touch a little bit on, I think it was Rob from Vegas. He called, correct?
Yeah, he did. He definitely did.
Yeah, and he was talking a little bit about, what happens with, one of these quarterbacks kind of falls into the Cowboys' laps.
Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't answer that. Yeah, I do have a thought on that.
Yeah, I know you didn't, but I just wanted to touch a little bit and get your thoughts on it. I'm actually, back and forth on this. I like Dak and everything, but I think we kind of all seen what he pretty much is, I believe. And at this point, really, I'm kind of hopeful that one of those quarterbacks do drop in our lap and they kind of go for it, because you think about it, what do we have to lose? I mean, what if we catch lightning in the bottle with one of these guys? What are we looking at? Last 26, 27 years, we really haven't gone and done really a whole lot. And I'm just kind of hoping that maybe one of these guys do. I'm not sure if the Cowboys would do that, or they might stick with their board.
They say that they make decisions as a collective group. I can tell you there'll be one hand raised when anybody not okay with this. I think McCarthy would lead that one. My whole season is depending on this. My job here is depending on having a great season. Now, if you draft a first-round pick who's not going to play, he's not going to like that. But then again, that's what we talked about before, agendas. Here's what I think is going to happen, though. If a guy like that falls to 24, I do think Jerry's going to get on the phone and try to see if anybody wants this pick. And you're going to want it for a quarterback. You're probably going to pay a little bit more for it. It's happened before. And so I could see the Cowboys adding picks, that fourth rounder that's empty right now, maybe a higher second-round pick and a fourth and maybe more, or maybe a player, who knows. But I could see that happening if one of those quarterbacks fall. But
yeah, do you personally think it would be a bad idea if they actually went with, let's say, a Michael Penix, who's really got an arm and can really run? I mean, he really doesn't run a whole lot, but he does have that ability. Are you really opposed to maybe not taking a quarterback?
I would be opposed this year. I would be opposed, and here's my reason why. And you can argue this with me. My reason is, you don't have to throw Aaron Rodgers at me or any quarterback or Tom Brady's and all that stuff. All I'm saying is that if he was so special, he's not going to 24. Now, there are always diamonds in the rough, and Dak is one of them. I get that. I totally understand that. My point is that I think you have a good team still. You have really good players, and you have a chance to compete. I'm not saying this team was not going to compete. Give me a player that can come in right away. Forget the guy getting the snap. How about the guy snapping the ball? That's a difference maker. Give me a starter, plug-and-play guy at 24. Give me a center to snap it to Dak and block. I'm for that. Because I'm not losing this year. I'm not. And if you wanted to get a quarterback at 24, then take it next year. If you need one, take your quarterback next year. Because those guys that fall to the mid-20s, that happen. They're around every year. He's not a generational quarterback if he's going to fall to 24. Does that mean he can't be great? No, of course not. He can be great, but I mean, if he's the chances are that he probably won't be, or he's not falling that far. That's my point. So if you don't need a quarterback, draft one when you need him, and if you want to take him in the 20s, then take him next year if you're in the 20s.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with all that. I don't think one of those guys is probably going to fall to us, but I do agree with getting a top center for us this year.
Yes,
I think they can do some things with the left tackle and that left guard. But I really think getting the top-notch center would really help our offense in both passing and especially the run game.
100% agree, because no other position can you draft at 24 other than kicker and punter probably. But no other position can you draft at 24 and you're going to get the best guy at that. If you draft a left tackle, you're probably getting the fifth one. Quarterback, you'd get about the fourth or fifth. Running back, you'd probably get the first. But I don't know if he's going to be that great. But I think if you get a center at 24, you're going to get a really, really good player. We've seen it happen with Travis Frederick. So I would, no one liked that pick either, but it turned out to be a really, really good pick. So it's a need, and there's a couple of really good ones. I think you draft the center at 24. No, he's not going to sell you a ton of jerseys. I understand that. But he's probably going to be starting for you on the very first day and be there for a while. So that's what I would do.
Hey, thanks a lot,
All
Nick,
right.
for taking my call. Have a good day.
All right. Thank you, Erwin. He was also on our all storyline team as well. He's called a lot. Here comes a new first-time caller, Bryant in Newport News, Virginia. Bryant,
yes.
what's up?
I've got through. Oh,
you
man.
It's awesome. You made it.
Yes, I made it. Where's the sound? There you go, yes.
They're like demanding it, Chris. They're like, come on now. Make it official.
Yeah, exactly. Make it official. Hey, okay, Nick, I have two questions. Well, one is a question, and then the other is more of a story that I'm hoping that you can remember and corroborate with me, because I haven't found anybody to corroborate my memory as of yet. But first question is, would you go with, and you just mentioned it on here, would you go with a starting center or a working left tackle? And so that's the first question. Would you take that starting center that you can get in the first round, or you have a left tackle there that he's a first rounder, but he may need some work because he doesn't have a lot of experience, and there's several of them that doesn't have a lot of experience in college.
Right.
But would you go with the center or the left tackle? I'm the center, but
I'm center as well. Center. I mean, you can chip on the outside and things like that with tackles, and there are some young guys that they're hoping will develop. Center, if the guy gets right through at center, it's probably going to be a sack, So I think you gotta get that base right down there, and I don't think they've run the ball well really since they've had a really good center. So I'm getting a center.
Hey, I'm with you. Okay, my next story is it's Romo's rookie season. During a preseason game, at the end of the game, Romo throws this pass. I think it was to Witten on the 1-yard line. He's running down the field. Bill Parcells is telling him to spike the ball. Romo is giving the signal that he's going to spike it. They get down to the 1-yard line. Romo runs the ball into the end zone. And when they asked Bill Parcells about it afterwards, Bill Parcells says he know that I told him to spike the ball, and if he would not have gotten into the end zone, I would have cut him on the spot. He said, but it took a lot of guts for him to go into that end zone, so that saved him. So, do you remember that, I haven't found anybody to cooperate?
Yeah, you've come to the right place. All right, here's the thing. That story is one of my favorite stories in the history of me working here. Okay, that game, and when Romo, they did a Football Life on him in NFL Network did it. That story wasn't on there at all. They focused on next year's preseason game against Seattle, where Parcells started him up there, and all that, and that kind of showed how much he really liked it and all that. But I can promise you this, okay? I'm just gonna say this: the next time that you see a documentary on Romo, that story will be in there. Just gonna say it. I'm just gonna throw it out there. Perhaps it's a Deep Blue. Perhaps it's one this year. Don't know. But I'll say this, that story will be on there because you had just about all of the facts right on that, okay? It was 2004. It's his second year. And let me just set the stage a little bit there. Quincy Carter had just been released like 2 weeks before that. That stunned everybody. Yeah. Now what's happening? Testaverde's your starter. Now you've got Romo and Drew Henson. Drew Henson, they've just given all this money to from baseball, $3 million to be the quarterback for the future, so he's not going anywhere. And in those next 2 weeks after Quincy got cut, Romo was terrible in practice. Like wasn't good. I mean, every day it was just something, and it just wasn't working out. So the quarterback situation wasn't really good. You got a 40-year-old starter now in Testaverde. Henson's a baseball player trying to figure it out. Romo hasn't looked any better. So it's not going good. So they go to the Raiders game, and they're getting beat, and it's late in the game, and it's 4th down and whatever, way back on their own 20, and Romo throws an interception. And I'm standing on the sideline, and I remember thinking right then and there, Romo's going to get cut. Like, he's going to get released after this. Like, didn't play well, threw a pick, they lost, whatever. And then there's a flag on the play. This is true story. This is exactly what happened. Flag on the play. I think it was offsides or defensive holding. Automatic first down. Cowboys keep the ball. Right then and there, everything changed. Romo did a dump off here for 6 yards. Passed it over here for 12. Scrambled a little bit. Shovel pass here. Moved the ball down the field. The clock's running down. He throws it to a tight end named Sean Ryan, who catches it at the 1. There's no timeouts. You're down by 4. No field goal in play. Down by 4. And Sean Ryan basically got knocked out. Okay, got knocked out. They could pick him up to just sit there at the line of scrimmage. And Romo's supposed to spike it so they have one play, and he decides, like you said, to sneak it in for a touchdown. And he said to me one time, if I don't make that play, I'm on a bus back to Burlington, Wisconsin. I know it. But he did it. And Parcells' word that he used was showed a little moxie. A little moxie on that play right there. And to me, that is when Tony Romo's career took off. And that's where it began. Right then and there, this guy has something. Don't know what it is, but he's got something. And so I'll just tell you, we are in the works of a documentary with Romo, and I promise you that story is going to be in there.
Thank you. I knew I didn't remember this wrong.
No.
Yes.
Well, it was a game in Oakland in preseason. So if it happened at midnight down here in Dallas, I guarantee you it was a late game, and it was in the old Coliseum, which was, dark as hell. So you can't see anything anyways. So, it wasn't the great. It's not gonna be the easiest story to tell, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna tell it. So anyway, I'm glad you brought it up. I'm glad you brought that up because that's going in. All right.
Thank you.
All
You have a blessed day.
All right. One more caller here. Let's go to Zach in Latvia.
Nick, what's going on?
What's up, man?
Oh, nothing. Long day, brother. Long day. How you been?
I'm good. All right. So you're usually called from Germany.
Correct.
But now you're in Latvia. Am I saying that right?
Latvia, correct.
Latvia.
Yeah. I'm in Riga, nice city.
Who do I know from? Who's famous from there? It's not Luka, is it?
No, Porzingis is from Porzingis.
That's what it was. Porzingis. Yeah. Luka's from Slovenia, I think. All right. What do you got, man? What's going on?
Oh, not much. I got two things for you. Like I said last time, I can't listen to the show live, so some of the stuff might have already been asked, but no big deal. So the two questions I had, one for the draft. Do you foresee maybe a scenario where the Cowboys actually go best player available? Let's say it's not the tackle that we want or not the center, but maybe one of these top-end wide receivers fall. Could you see them doing that as it's a sneaky need?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do. I mean, I think it is a sneaky need. I think there's not many positions that you would just completely dismiss. If it's the best player available, you could make a case for it.
Okay, that's fair. So the second question I have is it's a Dak question. I think it's a little odd that they're not going to sign him. I understand it, or maybe they will. It's still early, but let's say they let this thing play out.
Yeah.
My question is what's the advantage of doing that, right? Because I know fans are frustrated. I've been one of the frustrated fans of it myself.
Yeah.
But that price is not going to really come down much. One of two things are going to happen, right? He's either going to ball out or we miss the mark. Maybe it'll come down a little bit, but, I mean, another team, if we let him walk, which we really can't do because we get nothing back from that, maybe, compensatory pick. But
third round.
If we let him walk, that's signaling that we're going to start fresh. But if we have to sign him, that doesn't help us this year by letting him play out on the contract, and he's going to get paid anyway. Just want to hear your thoughts on it and see if I'm missing something there.
Well, I mean, like I said, it's not easy. You're not missing anything. They're in a fork in the road. I mean, that's what it is. But they can actually. The fork in the road is a year down the line. You know what I mean? And they know it's coming, so they don't know exactly which way to go with that. So you're on to something there, and appreciate the call. Thank you so much for calling, and we just added a new country to the list there. So yeah, Chris, let's keep it. We'll keep one more call. He was just asking me. We got one more. We might as well do that. But I'm going to say this about Dak real quick. I just believe that. You asked what the advantage is. The advantage is just getting one more year out of this and seeing what he's got. This still the window. I don't think the window's closed. I think it's closing, and I think this is a year with you got a lot of talent still, and you have a chance to still compete. So I think it's just one more year to kind of see it through. If he balls out, like you said, and it's to the point where they got to keep him, then they'll figure out a way to keep him. And if this is the end of the line and it's time to kind of move on, and that's it. I mean, it's the same with McCarthy, really. I mean, it's like it feels like they've got a really good coach and they got a good team and they can do something. And if it doesn't happen this year, then they'll probably make it a decision as well. So, it's just, I said this in the last show, it's harder than you think to just cut ties and let things play out. It's just rare that you just go 4 years or 5 years on the deal, and then you just wake up one day and like, oh, we got to make a decision on this. Like, no thanks. See you later. I mean, it doesn't work like that because of shows like this and shows like all over the place and all this talk. I mean, we're already talking about Micah's contract and he's still got 2 years left on it. So nothing sneaks up on you, and you just got to, and then when you don't do it, you don't make a deal. I mean, it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world to go through all season long knowing that they're not going to pay Dak, and so what, is there any issues here? And every little argument here and there stems from he's frustrated because of the ownership and all that. Like, it's harder to do this stuff. So I think what I'm trying to say is that I think this is a rare situation. They can just play it out and see what happens. And then after, here we are in a year, we'll know a little bit more about where they should go and what they should do with Dak and other positions as well. Okay, let's go. Last caller here. We're going to do one more call. We got Champ in the 308. Where's the 308?
308 is Nebraska.
Nebraska. Love it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
State I've never been to.
I'm sorry?
I said a state I've never been to. I've never been to Nebraska.
You don't want to come here. There's not much. I'm a misplaced Texan living up here, but this is home now.
I'll tell you what. If my Arkansas Razorbacks continue to play well in baseball and they make it to the College World Series in Omaha, Nebraska, one of these days I might go up there and try to see that. Check that out.
Okay, I stand corrected. If there's ever something to come to, it is a College World Series. I am a diehard Texas Tech fan, and getting to see them in 2014, I believe it was the first year they made it, was amazing. And I try to get up there for the opening ceremonies. I tell everybody, you got to come to that one time in your life. And if your team is in it, it's even 1,000 times better.
Probably not very cheap because it lasts all week long. So you keep winning, you keep staying, keep buying.
Yeah, it could get expensive, but you get general admission tickets, and they're not too bad. You just got to sit in that sun.
All right.
But it's a great time.
All right, Champ, what do you got?
So I've called in 2 or 3 times, and when I first called in, I didn't realize that we did the wrestler thing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start off with that. My wrestler, all-time favorite, I'm 48. I'll be 49 in May. I'm a Kerry Von Erich, the Von Erich from WCCW. That's me. I love it.
That's me.
Yep, yes,
Same.
sir. And
Yep.
Kerry was my absolute favorite.
Same.
I love the story. I have yet to see the movie. I'm trying to wait for the perfect time to watch the movie.
Same. Everything
you're
saying is, yep. I'm almost afraid to watch that movie, Iron Claw.
Same. I think that's part of me too. I don't want it to ruin.
Don't mess it up.
The legacy.
And
yes.
And it's not going to end well. I mean, they all died.
No.
I mean,
That's right.
I mean, so it's like, it's going to be sad. But yeah, I'm going to see it. I'm going to check it out. Talking about the movie Iron Claw
The one thing that I do have hope for is that Kevin was very involved in it, and I don't think he would have ruined his dad and his brother's legacy or smeared it.
True.
So, all-time favorite player, I've actually kind of got like 3 of them. I grew up a Danny White fan. When I was little, I wanted to be Danny White. In the 90s, I became an Eric Williams fan. I played offensive line in high school. I never saw a man dominate somebody the way Eric Williams could dominate anybody. Reggie White, rest in peace, included. And then DeMarcus Ware. I was a diehard DeMarcus Ware fan. Still am. Love the guy. I love who he was. His story coming from Troy at the time, just small school, and now a Hall of Famer.
Right.
So I called because I was listening to Dylan the other day, and I believe it was Dylan who was talking about how people might see Dak in a few years if he left, and respect what he did for us. I don't disagree with that one bit, but I think a lot of it would have to also depend on what he did afterwards. You know, had Romo gone to Houston when we released him, would Cowboys fans hold him in that esteem that they do now? Or is there that respect that, hey, he didn't go to the Texans, he didn't go anywhere else, he just retired?
What do you think about? What do you think about DeMarcus Ware or Emmitt Smith? I mean, does that change? It didn't change for me.
It didn't. For me, it didn't. I hated it because I loved them so much. But it was so different. I was extremely happy for DeMarcus that he got a Super Bowl. I was disappointed he couldn't do it with Dallas.
Sure.
But no, it did not change that. Yeah. It's just these two guys, Romo and Dak, they have the weight of the world on their shoulders. And when it doesn't go well for us, they get all the blame every time. So I don't know that somebody would look at Dak. Personally, I would. If Dak went and won a Super Bowl somewhere, as long as it's not with Washington, Philadelphia, or the Giants, I could probably accept it. But I don't know that a lot of fans could do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it all depends on kind of how things end up. But, you know, I think, you know, are you still a Danny White fan? I mean, are you still – I mean, like, you know, you're the face of the franchise for – 8 to 10 years, like Dak has been, and you know still is. You know, I still think there's a respect factor there that fans will, you know. I mean, and also he's a great guy. I mean, he everyone loves Dak, and you know he's a man of the year and all that kind of stuff. So I think he's been classy this whole time, and through all this, he still is as well. So. I don't think
I hope that never changes from him. Mm-hmm. Last thing real quick, the caller today that called and said he was 0 for 9.
Yeah.
I thought I was pretty bad because the last 3 games that I've been to, 4 games, we've lost. They've all been away games. It was Denver 2 times and Kansas City. I want to say there was one more. I can't remember. But we lost them all. And my brother and I that went to 2 of those 3 decided we're never going to another away game. We're done. Like, if we're going to a game, it's going to be at home. If we get beat, at least we're with our people.
Yeah.
Those are long drives home, and dealing with fans in other places is rough when you get beat as a Cowboys fan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, stop going to Kansas City and Denver. I mean, yeah, those places are tough.
Those 2 are tough. Those are very tough.
I would say Arizona, but I mean, that's been a tough one. I mean, this year, road games at Carolina, at Atlanta. So, you know.
In all your years, Nick, of traveling, what is your favorite away stadium?
What's my favorite stadium on away? I mean, you know, with us, and I've answered this, you know, before, where, you know,
I figured you probably had.
Yeah, but it's a little different. I mean, it's not just about the actual stadium and the nuances and the crowd and all that. It's kind of like, you know, the city and how far along the flight is and what the press box view looks like and the press box food and all this kind of good stuff, you know. And I've always liked Arizona, but I mean, I changed this year. And then Carolina, both those 2, I liked them, but both of those 2 are out for me. So I guess now, you know, I'm watching some game on NFL Network about Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's always been pretty cool. I mean, I like a lot of things about Pittsburgh, but one of the greatest games too, back in 2016.
Yes.
So you know, they're all nobody's perfect. Seattle's pretty good. I mean, especially if a training camp, with the flight's quick. Now, if it's a Seattle back to Dallas flight, I don't know about that one, but everything's got its perks. There's some really good cities, good places, but Tennessee's usually pretty good too. I like Tennessee for a lot of reasons there. So I mean, but Washington got better too. Washington this last year wasn't so bad. Gets better. Philadelphia's not bad. I mean, it's a tough game, but Philadelphia's pretty good place to go. So
nice.
All right.
Good deal.
All right, champ. Well, thanks for the call. And thanks. Yeah, I had a good show. A lot of first-time callers went out of the country a couple of times here. Really good stuff. So, all right, went overtime today. Chris, appreciate that. Glad you didn't have a meeting or anything. I actually have one coming up, so I got to get moving here. So, great calls. We'll see you guys next week on Cowboys Storyline. So, for Chris Beam, I'm Nick Eatman. See you next time on Storyline.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?